let's take Stuart Schiller out of the equation here, and let's put this into similar situation. Your client, somebody's going through, they are not taking your advice. What do you do? Would you fire
Well,
the client?
I have before. Sure, I have. But at the same time, you have to have an honest conversation with them. It's no different than you go to the doctor and maybe you have a heart ailment and you are eating a box of donuts every day. You're not running. You're eating like crap and you have high blood pressure. And the doc says, you need to stop eating the way you are. You need to exercise. And there's things you must do or you're going to die. And that may be a real conversation with the doctor. And that's advice they're giving you. Now, if the patient says, well, screw that, I like eating my 6 donuts every morning and I like going to McDonald's, I don't like exercising, so I'm going to continue living this lifestyle, that's really on them. That's not on the doctor. And so you kind of have to make that same realization with legal advice. It is advice, and it is the best advice I give them. And it's often astonishing when people are paying a lot of money to get high quality advice and they don't want to follow it. At some point, you have to say, well, okay, well, fine, do this at your own peril then. And you have to have that kind of come to Jesus talk with them. Where the issue becomes in terms of if I fired people, I've had people ask me to violate the rules of professional responsibility. I've had people ask me to do unethical things. And at that point in time, I'll say, no, I can't. And if you continue to ask me, you're gone. I will fire you. And I've done that. And I have done that in the past. But in terms of just, you have to not only tell them why, you have to give them, I think the reason is why. I think a lot of clients don't understand the why, because a lot of things you can do in the military, or at least in defense, are counterintuitive. So it's often explaining the why. And once you sit down and have a conversation with a client about why you're doing something, the vast majority of my clients, the vast majority, listen to the advice we give, and it leads to good outcomes. When you have clients that think they know better, like I saw in the Crisis of Command book, it can lead to some pretty negative outcomes. But that's where you have to have a real come to Jesus conversation and sit down with your client and explain why we're doing something, have them buy in on it. Because a lot of times you can't just talk, down to people. You have to explain why, this is why we're doing something. This is the pros and cons of it, and kind of walk them through the scenario. And I find once you do that, most of the times the clients will end up listening to your advice because they understand why.